Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wondered what keeps the financial world ticking with a sense of trust?
Mm.
Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a really critical piece of that puzzle. Engagement quality reviews. In audits, in assurance.
Yeah, that's right.
Whether you're maybe navigating these regulations professionally or you're just curious about how financial accountability works. Well, we're about to make it a whole lot clearer.
Absolutely. These reviews, they're a vital safeguard, really, and
Yeah.
an extra layer of scrutiny that underpins the reliability we all expect in financial reporting.
Right.
And to really get it, we're diving straight into the source,
Hmm.
the International Standard on Quality Management 2, ISQM2 for
On
short.
ISQM too.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. This standard is basically the rule book for these reviews,
Mhm.
and it's been in effect for engagements starting on or after December 15th, 2022. So this is current stuff.
Okay, so very relevant, exactly.
Right.
Our goal in this deep dive is, well, it's to unpack ISQM2 and really pull out the essential principles and steps, the ones involved in engagement quality reviews.
Uh,
We want to give you a clear, sort of easy to understand picture of what they are and, crucially, why they matter so much.
Glenn.
Okay, so let's maybe start with the big picture. What exactly is the scope, the main focus of ISQM2?
Well, ISQM2 has a very specific target. Paragraph 1 of the standard is pretty clear. It zeroes in on two key things.
Yeah.
First, how you appoint the engagement quality reviewer and figure out if they're actually eligible for the role.
Right, the who.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And second, it details how the review itself should actually be performed and, importantly, documented.
So it's not the firm's entire quality system, but really this specific review process for like an individual audit.
Precisely. Think of it this way. ISQM1 kind of sets the stage for the whole quality management system in a firm.
The big picture.
Yeah, the big picture. Whereas ISQM2 takes a magnifying glass just to this particular review. Paragraph 2 confirms it applies whenever an engagement quality review is required.
Required by whom?
Well, either because ISQM1 mandates it for certain types of jobs, or if specific laws or regulations call for it. There's a very targeted look at a crucial control point.
Got it. Okay. So what's the core aim then? This extra layer of review, what's its fundamental purpose?
So, according to paragraph 8, the main goal, the primary goal, is to provide an objective evaluation.
Objective.
An objective evaluation of the significant judgments the engagement team made, like the audit team, and the conclusions they came to when they were putting together their report.
So a second set of eyes on the big calls.
Exactly that. And paragraph 12 reinforces this. It says the objective is that objective evaluation of those key judgments and conclusions.
That word objective really does stand out, doesn't it? It's about having someone look at the work from a detached perspective.
Absolutely key.
And as we mentioned, this has been the standard since late 2022. Paragraph 11, I think, specifies this for audits and reviews of financials and other assurance and related services, too.
That's correct. Audits, reviews, other assurance-related services. It kicked in December 15th, 2022. So, yeah, this isn't some future ideal. It's how things are being done right now.
Right. It's the current practice.
Exactly. It's been standard operating procedure for a bit now, so really understanding it is pretty essential for anyone involved in, preparing, auditing, or even just relying on these kinds of reports.
Okay. We get what ISQM2 covers and why it's important. Now let's talk about the person doing the reviewing. Who exactly is this engagement quality reviewer?
Yeah, this is a crucial point.
Yeah.
And ISQM2 spends quite a bit of time on it, starting around paragraph 17.
Okay.
The standard puts a clear responsibility on the firm to set up really well-defined policies and procedures, both for picking these reviewers and for confirming they're actually eligible.
Right. It's not just random.
Not at all. It's not just about grabbing the next person who's free.
So they need the right credentials, the right background. What kind of criteria do they have to meet?
Okay, so paragraph 18 lays out several key things. The reviewer needs, first off, the necessary competence and capabilities. Can they actually do the review effectively?
Makes sense.
They also need to have enough time available. Can't be juggling too many things. They need to dedicate proper time to it.
Right. You can't rush it.
No. And they need a thorough understanding of all the relevant ethical rules. Independence is a big one there, plus the applicable laws and regulations.
Okay, so competence, time, and knowing the rules, including ethics and independence.
Yep. They can't be swamped, and they really need to be up to speed on all the relevant standards and regs.
What about their connection to the actual job they're reviewing? Can they have been, say, a part of the audit team itself?
Oh, absolutely not. Maintaining that objectivity we talked about, it's paramount.
Right.
Paragraph 18 explicitly requires firms to have policies ensuring the reviewer is not part of the engagement team. They need that distance to assess the work with a truly independent viewpoint.
That makes total sense. Hard to be unbiased about your own work or your immediate team's work.
Exactly.
The standard also mentions something about a cooling off period.
That.
If the potential reviewer used to be the lead partner on that specific engagement.
Yes, good point. Paragraph 19 tackles that directly. If someone was recently the engagement partner, the main person in charge of the audit,
The boss on the job.
yeah, the lead, there needs to be a cooling off period before they can then act as the engagement quality reviewer for that same audit.
How long?
The firm's own policies will specify how long that period needs to be. The idea is just to ensure enough time has passed, let things settle, allow for a genuinely fresh, objective look, free from any, leftover biases from being in charge before.
So preventing any lingering attachment or defensiveness?
Precisely. It's a really important safeguard against potential conflicts, subconscious or otherwise.
That's a smart precaution. Okay, and once they've done their review, is there like a formal sign-off? Some kind of official confirmation?
Yes, indeed. Paragraph 27 covers this. It says the engagement quality reviewer should explicitly confirm, in writing usually, that the objective of the review, that objective evaluation we discuss, has been achieved,
Right.
and that the engagement quality review is now complete. It provides a clear, auditable record that the process happened and was concluded properly.
Okay, great. So we know who the reviewer is, what makes them qualified. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts. What actually happens during an engagement quality review? What does the process involve?
Okay, the review process itself, it involves several important steps and responsibilities for both the lead engagement partner and the reviewer. This kicks off around paragraph 24.
Okay.
The engagement partner, they have a key role. They need to provide the reviewer with all the necessary info and do it promptly.
Timely.
Timely, yes. And they need to be ready to discuss any significant issues or matters that the reviewer brings up. So it's definitely not just a one-way street. There's interaction.
So some collaboration is built in. It's not just handing over a file.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
There needs to be open communication. But, and this is important, the final evaluation and judgment, that rests squarely with the engagement quality reviewer.
Okay, they hold the final say.
They do. Paragraph 25 then gets into what the reviewer is specifically looking at. Their assessment is mainly based on the engagement report itself.
The draft report.
Usually, yes. The draft report, the financial statements, if it's, say, a financial statement audit, and any other relevant work papers or documentation that supports what the team did.
Okay. And within all that paper, or electronic files nowadays, what specific areas are they focusing on?
They're zooming in on several really critical areas. Paragraph 25A, for instance, focuses on whether the engagement team really had a thorough understanding
Understanding of what?
of the entity, the company being audited or reviewed, and the specific circumstances of that particular engagement. Did the team really grasp the business, the industry, the context of the work?
That's fundamental, isn't it? If you don't understand the business properly, how can you evaluate the financial?
That's exactly right. Then, paragraph 25B looks at the significant risks the team identified during their work.
Okay, risk assessment.
Yep, and crucially, how they responded to those risks. Were the key risks spotted? And were the audit procedures designed well enough to address them? Basically, did they focus their effort in the right places?
Makes sense. Risk assessment drives the whole audit, really. What else gets scrutinized?
Paragraph 25C highlights the significant judgments the team made, especially those dealing with complex or contentious issues.
The tricky bits.
The tricky bits, exactly. These are the areas where professional judgment is really tested. The reviewer has to assess if those judgments were reasonable and, importantly, well supported by evidence. Think about those tough calls where maybe experienced pros could differ. The reviewer needs to be satisfied with the team's rationale.
Those are often the hardest parts, I imagine. No easy black and white answer.
That's very true. The reviewer also checks if the team sought appropriate consultation on these tricky matters. Did they talk to experts, internally or externally? And what were the outcomes? That's in paragraph 25CI.
Okay.
Following that, 25D looks at whether the financial statements themselves and any other reports being issued are relevant and adequate. Do they tell the right story? Do they comply with the accounting rules and reporting standards?
Ah, so they're not just looking at how the audit was done, but also checking the final product of the report itself.
Correct. It's both process and output. And finally, paragraph 25E emphasizes that vital link between the conclusions the team reached and the documentation that backs them up.
The audit
The
trail.
audit trail. Does the paperwork actually support what they're claiming in their report? You know the saying in the profession,
Yeah,
if it wasn't
it
documented.
didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And paragraph 26 makes it very clear. If the engagement quality reviewer has concerns, if they're not satisfied with those significant judgments or conclusions,
What happens then?
they have a responsibility to tell the engagement team. And appropriate actions must be taken to resolve those concerns. That can mean doing more work, getting more evidence, maybe even changing the report.
So the reviewer really does have real teeth. It's not just a quick look over. They can actually demand changes if needed.
Oh, absolutely. Their role is far from being just a rubber stamp. They are a critical quality safeguard for the whole engagement.
Wow, that sounds like a very thorough, comprehensive review process. Now, what about keeping a record of all this? You mentioned documentation earlier. What does ISQM2 say about documenting the review itself?
Yeah, documentation, as we said, is absolutely key in this whole area.
Yeah.
Paragraphs 28 through 30, they lay out the specific requirements for documenting the engagement quality review.
Right.
The standard basically says firms must have policies in place that require this documentation. It's not optional. It has to be done.
Okay, it's mandatory. And what specific bits of information need to be recorded? What goes in that file?
Paragraph 30 details the essentials. You need to clearly identify the names, who was the engagement quality reviewer, and did anyone assist them. Their names need to be there too.
Okay, accountability.
Exactly. It also requires recording the date the review was actually completed, and a clear statement confirming that the review has been carried out establishes the timeline, assigns responsibility.
That makes sense, creating that clear audit trail for the review itself. What else is crucial to document?
Well, according to paragraph 30D, any significant matters that were discussed between the engagement partner and the reviewer,
Those tricky judgments, maybe?
that would be those judgments, could be risks, could be consultations, yes.
Yeah.
Any significant matters discussed. And importantly, how those matters were ultimately resolved. That must be documented too.
Not just that they talked, but the outcome.
Precisely. What was the issue and what was done about it? This provides a record of the key issues that popped up during the review and the steps taken to address them. It shows the loop was closed.
So it's really not enough just to say review happened. You need to document the key conversations, the actions taken as a result.
That's it, exactly. This thorough documentation, it serves as the evidence that a robust, effective engagement quality review was performed, and crucially, that any issues found were properly dealt with.
This has been an incredibly insightful journey, really, into these engagement quality reviews as laid out by ISQM2. It seems so clear now how vital this whole process is for, well, for maintaining confidence and trust in financial reporting and assurance.
It really is.
For our listeners, maybe zooming out a bit, whether they're directly involved in this world or just observing, why is understanding all of this so important? What's the big picture relevance?
Well, if you take that step back, these reviews are truly fundamental to the credibility of the financial information that companies put out there.
Right.
And that information, in turn, it's the bedrock, isn't it? It's what investors, lenders, all sorts of other stakeholders use to make critical economic decisions.
Billions, trillions of dollars rely on it.
Huge decisions. The engagement quality review acts as this vital safety net. It boosts the confidence that those decisions are based on information that's reliable, that's trustworthy. It really is an indispensable part of the whole financial ecosystem.
Absolutely. It feeds into the integrity, the stability of the financial markets overall.
And maybe for those who are directly involved preparing or auditing this information, understanding ISQM2 isn't just about, ticking a compliance box.
More than just rules.
Much more. It's really about fostering a culture of quality, a commitment to continuous improvement within their firms, within their teams. It encourages that critical self-assessment, helps spot and fix potential weaknesses before they mess up the final reports.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so to kind of bring it all together then, in our deep dive today, we've really explored the scope and the purpose of ISQM2, focusing specifically on these engagement quality reviews. We've looked at the crucial role and the necessary qualifications of the person doing the review, the engagement quality reviewer.
Yep, the who and the why.
We examined the detailed steps and the key things they consider during the review process itself. And finally, that critical need for thorough documentation of the whole thing.
Exactly. We've seen how ISQM2 really sets up this well-defined framework. It's all aimed at ensuring an objective, rigorous evaluation of those significant judgments and conclusions in assurance jobs.
Hmm.
Ultimately, it strengthens the quality, the dependability of the reports that get issued.
So here's maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over. These core principles we talked about, independent review, objective evaluation, they aren't just for financial audits, are they?
No, definitely not.
Think about how these ideas might apply in other parts of your professional life, maybe even personal decision making. Where could getting a fresh, critical perspective lead to, better outcomes, maybe ongoing improvement?
Good question to ponder.
And something else you might find interesting to look into is how technology is increasingly playing a role here, how it's supporting and maybe even enhancing the efficiency, the effectiveness of these engagement quality reviews in today's, well, rapidly evolving audit world.
Definitely a space to watch.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.